How hard did you push it? Till I black out? Yes. Numerous times, yes.
What's happening, MuniciPals? This is Big Chris and Ashton. We got some special guests on this week. We have Mr. Moss, aka Ashton's father. We've got his friend Mr. Banks, who have been doing this tournament called the Ross for over 30 years now. They also have some other tournaments that we talk about as well. We're really excited to have them on. Stoked to get this started. The stories are hilarious. This is definitely one to tune into. So listen up. It's going to be a good one.
First of all, I thought your dad was a chop for probably 10 years, Ashton. I didn't know his name for the first 8 years. And now I don't know if you know this, but your dad is so friggin' good that it is scary. I have no idea what happened, but he's got a chance to be really one of the better senior players in the state. That's for another call.
Wait. I will tell you that going on a golf trip, etiquette rule number 1, when you go on the golf trip, shake everybody's hand the day you get there and say, "My name is Big Chris." And then when you see him at breakfast, say, "Hey, John, I'm Big Chris," because you're going to be on a golf trip with them for the next 3 days and drinking beer. And if you don't say hello to them early, you get into that thing where you pretend you haven't seen each other. And the reason I bring this point up is when I met Johnny, I was about a 7 handicap. And he was a legit 0, having played college golf at Virginia Tech. Guys, whether it was my putting or my bunker game, he looked at me early on, never said hello, and never made eye contact with me. It was like he was the cool kid and I was the chop, and he would not even make eye contact with me. Like five Rosses, he invited me on his trip before he ever actually shook my hand and said, "Welcome to the Ross."
Well, some of that is true, and I apologize. And I don't know why I just lost my camera, but I'll try again. Okay, Ashton, I'll jump. The Ross started in 1989, and actually, I have to give my big brother credit for starting the Ross, which and he was part of it for a little while. I actually have 5 brothers. I've lost one of them, so we're down to 4 brothers, but the three older are golfers, and we stay pretty close through golf. But we were all living in South Carolina, and my older brother Leon came up with the idea of having a golf trip up at Mid Pines and Pine Needles in Southern Pines, North Carolina, and which if you've never gone there, and I think John Moss would agree that those 2 places are just hidden gems and unbelievable, both original Ross. So we start there in 1989. And so then we do it again in 90. But something changed in 90. I moved to Atlanta and opened up a whole different set of friends. John Moss, David Asbury, the Hootie Group. And these guys will go anywhere. So we went from probably the original trip had 2 foursomes in night. By the way, I sent you that letter, and I actually am the Ross letter from 2018, and if you noticed, it's got everywhere we've been on there. But we went to Mid Pines in 89 and Pine Needles in 90, Camden Country Club in 91, which is a little Donna Ross course where I grew up. And I'm actually moving back to next month.
Gee, isn't that where you shot 63?
64, twice. That's all right.
What's the course record out there, you think?
It used to be 64 when I shot it, but I was only 16 years old. Now it's 59 or 60, I'm sure, with the new players.
That's incredible to hold a course record at 16.
Well, it won him a full golf scholarship to Virginia Tech for 1 round, did right, Chief?
Yep, it did 1 round. Back then, obviously there's no internet, but 1 round got me into an education, which I don't think that happens anymore. But anyway, I don't want to dominate the whole call, but I think I've got Ashton. I've got 4 or 5 bullet points I wanted to go over, and then just answer questions, get your dad involved. The first thing I'm going to talk about on golf trips, and I think Moss would back me up on this, is you've got to go in organized. And the worst words anyone can ever use on a golf trip is, what do y'all want to do? Don't ever ask anybody what they want to do. And y'all know this. I mean, y'all play go and golf. Don't ever ask, where do y'all want to go to dinner? Don't do it. If you're going to go to Waffle House, that's where you're going to dinner. Don't ask anybody.
Hey, I'm in line with you, Mr. Banks. That's how I run a golf trip. They don't get a choice on what we're doing. I book it, they show up, and they go. There's no discussions when I book golf trips.
No, and you'll catch a little bit of shit about that in fun, but people like that. That's what they like. So that's number 1, and probably number 1 through 10. But let's call that number 1, and I'll put that under organization. And the next I would say is make sure you've got a good group. Obviously, now we had anywhere from 16 to 24 players for 30 years. We did it from 1989 to 2018, and then I shut it down after 2018. 30 seemed like a good number. I was the only person that went all 30, but if you look through the letter, I actually have people listed and how many times they had gone. So I'm going to let's see, in 2018, John Moss, that was his 22nd Ross. However, you're always going to have fill-ins. This is I always call them a fill-in, and if they didn't work out, what did I do to them, Moss?
It's a term of art. If you don't fit in, you get booted.
You get booted. Now, 90% of people didn't know they were booted. They just weren't invited back. But everybody there knew who was booted. And by the way, some of them are guys I play with 50 weeks a year at my club. But they went on the trip once. They didn't fit in. They complained. If you complained to me about your hot dog, you probably weren't going to get invited back.
I might not get invited back, Ashton. My hot dog takes are strong.
Mr. Banks, Chris has an obsession with hot dogs, and I don't mean that any other way than like actual like a hot dog.
I worked at a hot dog stand when I was in high school, called Parker's Hot Dogs in Santa Cruz. So I consider myself a hot dog aficionado. So when we go to golf courses, one of our things when we rate a golf course is how good their hot dogs are. So I have a whole segment.
To be clear, one of his things.
My thing. Ashton could care fucking less about a hot dog. I'm the only one that
I get a cheeseburger.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to sound like a tyrant. I'm talking about the fill-ins. Now, the guys that go every year, there's a guy named Ashton, Lou, John Lewandowski, who he was our bitch brother, complained about everything, but he was one of us. He could complain about anything because he's one of us. It's just you can't be a new guy and complain.
That's Ashton.
One of the reasons
are Lou.
Wow.
That's just objectively not true. But we're going to have a separate conversation after this.
We'll have a conversation about that.
Okay. Wow.
But look, there's a lot of ways to get booted. Like there's this one guy, he was a really good guy. He was handsome. He played fast. He showed up on time. He paid for his dinner. And he just was too good. That'll get you booted, right, Chief?
If you're too good and you're not one of us, you get booted.
But Ed Kropp won 12 Rosses, never got booted. This guy won 3, got booted.
Yeah. Plus he was slow. And he was slow.
Slow.
Yeah.
He was slow, Chief. I said that wrong.
Yeah. You're talking about pewter ball.
I'm not going to use any names.
That's true. Yeah, that's if this goes viral, we probably ought to stick the no names.
We'll edit that part out.
He got booted for being too good. He's fine.
The next thing we had obviously was a theme, right? Ours was a Donald Ross Invitational. We went to a different Donald Ross course, all in the Southeast, because we went in late February and early March. So anything Northeast was out of the question. And we also didn't use handicaps. We used groups. We had an A group and a B group for years. A group was probably a +2 to a 3 or 4. B group would be a 5 to a 10. So there weren't many chops that got to go. And if they did, they were donating and then we got when we got up to 24 players, we went to a C group. And some of the chops that were donating, we gave them a group. And so we had an A group, a B group, and a C group. I'm the only person to ever win the A group and the B group, but I went the wrong way. John Moss won the B group and damn near won the A group at Aiken Golf Club, except for a little flippy hybrid on about the 16th hole OB. But so that would have been to go from the B group to the A group. Would have been pretty good. So I like a theme. Last couple of things.
Wait, Mr. Banks, real quick. Why do you? Because we talked a lot about handicapping. Like, what is the thought process behind the group as opposed to handicap? Just because people are liars about their handicaps?
No, just that the Hootie is handicap, which was our other main trip, and there was so much bitching about it that it's a little easier now with the internet because everybody knows when everybody plays and what they shot. But back in the day, your handicap just was what it was. And people just seem to like not having a handicap. Bowing up against people that were in their range, right? I mean, if they played well, they could compete. Moss is right. Eddie Kropp won a bunch of them. A guy named Bill Bowers won a bunch of them. So we all knew who the best players were, but they didn't always win. So it just kind of worked for us.
And I guess also having the diversity of tournaments, man, it's like we're not just going to do the same thing every time.
Exactly right. It's just doing a little something different. And you said tournament. I tried to make it a tournament, not just a buddy trip. We all go on buddy trips, and it's mostly just drinking, and chasing for the single guys, and it's. But this, and Moss, I hope you would agree with that. It's one of the few golf trips that you actually went to it when you put the peg in the ground. You felt like you were in a tournament.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I just competed this year for the first time. Well, last year I tried for the Mid-Am, but it's been since the Ross and our trips have sort of fallen apart. I haven't competed in a while, and it felt really weird to play competitive golf this year because historically, for all those years, we played an event in the spring, an event in the fall, and it was a golf tournament. Add them up and play by the rules and having a tournament committee and all that stuff. I mean, it was a real honest to God golf tournament. And I would also say in 30 years on this trip, I don't know how this actually happened, but we never had a weird situation with a woman. We never had a stripper. We never had anybody do drugs and not be able to show up. I mean, and there was a little bit of gambling and card playing, but we went there to play golf.
Yep.
And so you were welcome to do some of that stuff if you wanted to, but you were going to get booted if you did because you just didn't fit into the golf trip. What we had in common was we all liked each other and we liked to play fast and we liked to play by the rules. We played it back, we played it down, we putted them all out. That was sort of the thing, right?
Yep. And the last thing is we had a Calcutta. The tournament was it was 27 holes Friday, 27 holes Saturday, and 18 holes Sunday. Thursday we called Thursday the Pro-Am, which was just a practice round. And 99% of people always came for Thursday, but occasionally somebody had a business conflict, and that was okay. You come in Thursday night, but we do a Calcutta Thursday night. And I did the Calcutta, and I think there was an outside chance I could have made a living doing a Calcutta. Don't you think, Moss?
It was the most impressive impromptu stand-up stuff. If it would have been a skit on Saturday Night Live, it would have been a hit like, when they did Donald Trump. It was unbelievable because Johnny knew all the inside jokes and we all knew each other. So he could make any kind of reference about any kind of person that dated back 10 years and we all got it. And Johnny Banks is as good on his feet as anybody I've ever sing. It's unbelievable.
It was a ton of fun, and we'd get, it wasn't big bucks, but we'd get, probably 10 grand or so, $5,000 per flight.
Hey, wait, I gotta take a step back. I feel stupid. What is a Calcutta?
I was about to ask the same thing because
I don't know.
I know me and
I've heard you say that. I don't know what that is.
Some of our viewers might not know. Yeah,
I've heard Dad say that. I don't know what that is.
It's a golf auction of talent. So I would start with John Moss and I would go, okay, give me $50. Got to have 50, 60. Here's what I would do. Moss, I don't know if you knew this.
No, but wait, he would start with me for a reason because he hosed me. I won the B and he puts me in the A because he needed A players. I never had a chance to win the A, ever. But I was always the first one bid on in the A because I was always the biggest chop in the A. I'm a 2 handicap. I'm never going to win.
Like bidding is a joke or bidding to play against?
No. Bidding, you're buying.
To win.
If you bid $50,
so it's like putting a bet on him. So you're betting on Moss to win.
Right.
You're betting on him to win the A group, and you're buying him like you're buying a pony.
Gotcha.
You're buying him. I start at $50 and I go to 60. I need 70, got 80, need 90, got 150. Sometimes nobody had even raised their hand, by the way. I'm already up to 150. And then some drunk guy would go 160. Okay. So Frank Bellavia would go 160. Okay.
Oh, what makes you say that?
160 twice. So John Moss, 160 to Frank Bellavia. So Bella pays 160 to the finance guy, who's my brother. Then we go to the next guy. And then you end up.
So you guys have 10 grand betting on each other.
Yeah.
That's nothing to do with actually play.
You hadn't played yet.
Wow, that's an insane idea. I'm glad I asked.
That's pretty awesome.
I'm glad you did ask.
But okay, a couple things. What's weird is we all had prize money in the Ross. I think first place in each
$500.
Made $500, right? If you win your division, you win $500 and you get your name on the plaque, which I'm sure Johnny will talk about. But if you win the Calcutta and you bought yourself, because you can always buy yourself.
You always buy yourself.
Or you can buy half of yourself.
Right.
But anyway.
No, that's an important point. If Ashton buys his dad for $200, Moss has always got a chance to buy half for $100. But you have to give him that. But he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to pony up.
But one of the reasons I think the Ross ended is because Eddie Kropp won $3,000 on March the 5th every single year for 8 out of 10 years because that for some reason the A group would always go for more money than the B.
Yep.
The B would go for more than the C for no reason, right? I mean, it makes no sense why the bad guys.
No reason, yeah.
No reason. But Eddie Kropp, there would be $6,500 in there. And he'd know that he was going to win. He'd bet half of it and he'd get $3,000.
He'd never bet on himself, but always buy half. And some guys would always buy themselves.
Right.
Jason Terranova, your buddy, Ashton. Jason Terranova went to a Ross. He played at Berry College, and he's a great player and a good guy. And he's how old was he? Moss 25 maybe. He's 20.
Right. He was the year ahead of me. I just turned 29. He's 30.
He's 30. I'm looking at the list. He went to Mid Pines. I
was going to ask you, using wins. So does that mean did he get booted?
No, not at all. He went to, I think it was 2017.
I think he self-booted because, as Johnny's going to tell you, he bid on himself at the Calcutta. He was so sure he was going to win. I don't know what Terry.
He was so sure he was going to win, and he's what, 25? No one there's younger than 40.
Right.
He's 25
at the time.
He's a friggin' stick. But I jack his. I'm going to the moon on him. Every time he thinks it's over, I'll give you 1,800, 1810, 1820, and He ends up buying himself for like $3,000. And he doesn't win a penny.
Wait, he's leading with
Yeah.
8 holes to play and shoots 49 or something.
Yeah. I don't know.
He's over for the tournament and doesn't break 40. You know.
He's a great player, but I'm telling you, there was a list of guys that were legitimate plus handicaps, state amateur type players that were one and done and didn't win a penny. And it was the weirdest thing. And I never really knew why that was unless we were just barbecuing them too much. But
look, I mean, Jamie Kiley 3 years ago qualified for the U.S. Senior Open.
Yep.
He finished second in the Georgia Mid-Amateur as a 55-year-old. Yep. I mean, what did he win, Johnny? Once?
Twice. Mel played in 2 mid-amateurs and a U.S. amateur, never won it. I mean, it's just really weird how hard it was to win the Ross. But we were playing it back, down, and in, and it's hard to take.
And I remember, just this is anecdotally, but also like that time of year, Dad. I remember you coming home and being like, you know, because it was like February in South Carolina, you're like, man, these like wet, tight lies, like you're chunking chips and just, you know, like you would inevitably kind of barf on yourself because of the condition. Not the conditions were bad, right? But like dormant Bermuda grass, that lie.
Yep.
No, you get on the short side on those Donald Ross golf courses, and you have to hit it, you know, just over the bunker to a short flag. If you don't have nerves of steel, you're going to hit the Boney Maroney and you're going to make it.
Well, just knowing him and his green complexes and the volcanoes and like all the different, you know, architectural things that he puts into his tracks. I mean, in a condition like that, if you've never seen a Donald Ross course, or if it's your first time experiencing something like that in those conditions, I'm sure the best of golfers struggled out there.
Right. Yep.
But the winner would normally shoot about 300. And the B group would normally shoot about 320. So the A group shoots 75, the B group shoots 80, and then the C group would shoot 84, right? That's about right.
I totally agree with that. Now, I think later on, when equipment got better, if the weather was good, the A group would sometimes play better than that, maybe down around par sometimes. But you're right. For a long time, it was amazing. I mean, remember, we're playing in February, and it's even in the Southeast, it's cold and it's wet. But
well, I got to say one more thing, Chief. I don't know if you're going to talk about it, but Johnny also, he had a few unique. Of course, he had the Calcutta, but he also had a Ross gift.
Yes.
Talk about the Ross gift.
I did, and by the way, my brother. I got to mention my brother Nat, who's my next younger brother, who was he and I ran it together, although he would admit that he didn't really do anything. And I asked him one time why he didn't do anything. And he goes, because every single thing that I suggest you say is stupid. So I don't know whether that was true or not, but he definitely helped me run it. And especially from a Ross gift perspective. But every single year I gave a Ross gift, and this was on me. This was on my brother, Nat. We paid for it. Started out really simple with, you know, a towel, right? Donald Ross towel. There's been a whole bunch of Donald Ross t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, visor, golf, coffee cups, which
don't forget the belt kit.
I wish I'd worn it. I'd show it right now. I gave you can buy a belt.
I don't think I have mine.
Buy a belt in a golf shop, right?
Yeah.
And I think it was you that said, why don't you do a belt?
Right.
Okay.
I was thinking an embroidered belt with the Donald Ross logo on it, but I knew it was going to be $40 a man if we did that, and I was willing to contribute. But Johnny said, no, I got it.
No, I don't want anybody contributing, but my budget was about $20 a gift. Okay. And so I didn't mind spending, $300 or $400 for a gift, but, it could get a little ridiculous if you start giving a belt that you could buy in a pro shop. So I bought 24 cloth belts and with a buckle, which was like a Boy Scout buckle. You know what I'm talking about? we put it in there, and then you
slide
cut
it.
down, you slide it on,
And
then you cut it. Then you cut it to length, and then you burn it to burn the end, right? You know exactly what I'm talking about. And I have a logo. If you look at the letter, it's on the logo. The logo's on the letter of the Donald Ross Invitational. So
Dad loves this story.
I have this buckle, but when I give it out, I made the biggest mistake of I should have put the damn buckle on the belt and handed them out. But because I'm so OCD about this tournament, by the way, I'm the most unorganized person you've ever met, except for this tournament. If I'd run my business this way, I would have made as much money as your dad makes. But so I hand out these belts, cloth belt, separate buckle, pair of scissors, and matches. And your dad from the back goes, "It's a belt kit." And I got laughed out of the room. I just spent $400 on belts, and I got laughed out of the room.
You had to make your own belt.
Did it look cool when it was done?
I still have mine, and if I play with Johnny, and if I a special occasion like a member guest or something, I will break out my belt kit. I'll still do it. That thing's at least 10 or 12 years old.
Exactly, but it's a. Let's see, I got something back here.
There you go.
It was on. I'm a visor guy.
Me too.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, it's got the Ross and it's got the flag of Scotland. That's our logo, and that's on everything. We had bottles of wine several years with the Ross logo on it.
Those belts, though, I mean, they're still popular now. Nike makes you cut your belt and install it and do all of that if you buy those belts from them too. So
I wish you had been at our trip because you might have supported me.
I might have been the only one.
I found it. I actually found it.
There it is.
Okay, and this is the part
That's actually sick, though.
I don't know, man. You sort of had to, because like some guys like G-Train, he's like $3 bills. I had to like cut like this much off of mine on this end right here, and then you slip it in this thing like a Boy Scout.
Looks like it's like an airplane buckle.
So like I was just saying, Nike makes those belts now for golf, like exactly like those. And I actually own a bunch of them because they give you like 5 different colors of belts, and you can exchange all the different colors to match your outfits.
That's exactly what that belt was.
But it would have been a nightmare for him. What's that?
You're going to get invited if you keep this up.
I know. He already said I should have been invited to support him.
I see it.
But I might be the guy that doesn't get invited because I'd be in the C group for sure.
No, as long as you play fast, we don't care.
Well, that's not an issue.
Now, Chief, the other thing, one of the reasons I think the Ross was so successful compared to other trips is the cost. Now, we all started when we were young with small children, and none of us, we still don't, but none of us really had any money at all, no extra money at all to do it.
Right.
And the reason we did it in late February, early March, I think, is because it was the weekend before the rates all went up throughout the country. But not just was the information good from Johnny, but the cost was predictable.
Yep.
And there was no gratuitous, stupid, expensive stuff. We were there to play golf. And if we went to Denny's, that was fine. But we were not looking to, have this big, expensive trip. And I think everybody appreciated it. I mean, several years, Chief, you had a Ross van, right? Because we didn't want to fly and we wanted to ride together.
Oh, did that a lot of years. And you're right. We kind of prided ourselves on making it affordable, especially back in the 90s. The last one we did in 2018 was off the charts, but you're exactly right. And I'd forgotten that. The spring rates typically started the first week or two in March. So I'd always try to do it before then and make it affordable. And it's a $150 entry fee. golly, how many times did I rent a 15-passenger van and a trailer? We'd all throw our clubs in the trailer and drive to Florida. And it was fun, and people loved it. And some of the guys were big money guys back then, but people seem to appreciate that it was an affordable trip. The Calcutta got a little unaffordable, but the trip itself. But you didn't have to bid, and a lot of guys never bid one time ever on anybody, including themselves. And of course, they got barbecued every year for it. But it was totally up to you.
Right.
The affordability. I mean, Chris can talk more about it, but the affordability piece is, I mean, like we want to go on golf trips all the time, but we can't. Like in order to do that, it's got to be affordable. And Chris has done a great job with that. And that's actually something we're trying to do more. Chris can tell you, I mean, he's really the driver behind it, but we're trying to figure out how many golf trips can we possibly slam into a year, but the cost has to be,
Right.
just down or else we can't do it.
We're going to do a new segment where we're going to start flying across the country for the cheapest flights we possibly can find. And play golf public tracks in those cities. So our first city we're going to go to is Missoula, Montana. And then our other one, which isn't a small city, is going to be Denver, which we're excited because they're the only Donald Ross track west of the Mississippi is in Denver, right outside of Denver. So we're really excited to be able to, for me, it'll be my first Donald Ross that I get to play.
Okay.
And have you played Donald Ross tracks, Ashton?
I don't think Dad would know. If I have it with him, yes. I mean, this is the weirdest thing about becoming friends. Like, to be on this call with you guys is like, I've played golf my whole life, but like, I had no appreciation for, like even thinking now to like, my God, Cusquilla. It's like, a Core Crenshaw design. I'm just like, yeah, this course in great shape. And I'm like, oh my God, I would give anything to go back, especially now, there's a lot less houses and stuff, but there's some holes now that I'm, really understand golf architecture where it's like just some wizardry holes, like number 10, like number 12 at Cusquilla, where it's like you hit a 6-iron and a wedge and you cannot keep it on the green. You're going to make bogey probably. And you're hitting a 6-iron off the tee. I remember Dad used to try to hit the little hook around the corner, could never hook it. He'd blow it into the trees and make double. It's a 265-yard hole. I mean, right. Now that you see Core Crenshaw, it's like it's magic.
Yeah.
But I think you guys, if this podcast is aimed at people who are going to be on a golf trip, Johnny made a good point earlier. You guys are trying to plan a bunch of golf trips. There's golf trips and then there's golf trips. And I think that most of what you're talking about are buddy trips. Yep. If it's 4 guys, or 6 guys or 8 guys, that really is a buddy trip. Maybe not 8. What Johnny's talking about, his trip was a true, honest to God golf trip. And when you have that many people, the administration of it gets very difficult. And so, like, if you're going to do a golf trip, Johnny, talk about like contacting them early, because if you were good at making contact with the people that were there, the pro, and getting good discounts on replay rates, and they would just give you deals because you were bringing a bunch of people to their facility and they appreciated the business, right?
Right.
Like, what would you do to get? How would you go about, getting the best deal and doing it early?
Well, they typically, with this many people up, and you guys know this, they put you with a salesperson typically, and you just try to negotiate, tell them, we're going to be there, but these guys are going to spend more money in your bar than they're going to spend on the room. So remember, there's going to be a big number left here, a big amount of money left here. But I would always go to the pro, always talk to the pro before we get there. Now, if you've only got 4 or 8, that's not as big a deal. But even then, I think the pro would appreciate letting him know, why you're there, what kind of players are you. What your intentions are for scoreboards. They most of the time they would offer a scoreboard. Sometimes I would do it, sometimes I wouldn't, because I didn't want a distraction, and we would do our own scoreboard. But the fact that we had a what do you call it, a rota? Is that what you call, like when the U.S. Open goes to the same courses all the time? Right. We had a rotation of about 8 courses that we went to. It was very unusual to go to a course that we had not been to before, because remember, we're going in the Southeast. A lot of Donald Ross courses are private and you can't go there. Although when the economy got bad around 07, 08, we, for example, Country Club of Columbus, Georgia, is a Donald Ross course, very private. And all of a sudden, to have 20 guys come down there and pay full green fee, they welcomed us with open arms. And we actually almost had a gallery out there watching the last day. So that opened it up a little bit. You asked earlier, Ashton, my favorite Ross course that we played, and it's really a tragic story, because it's the Ponce de Leon Resort in St. Augustine, which is the first golf course in Florida, the very first. And the city owned it and sold it to a developer, and there's condos on it. And it just broke my heart. That place wasn't it awesome, Moss? I mean, the front nine was in the forest and the back nine was on the ocean, and it.
The third hole was 115 yards, and you hit and it's coming at you from the intercoastal. That's from the ocean. Yeah. You had to hit it at the very right side of the peninsula to keep it from going all the way across the green. It's 110 yards. You're hitting 6 iron.
Yeah. Little things like that. But the fact that we went to the same courses over and over, Mid Pines and Pine Needles, I would encourage you guys, as you trying to plan your cross country trips. You know, it's at Pinehurst. You know, but Pinehurst is, 600 to play or whatever it is. And I promise you, Mid Pines is just as good a golf course. I'm not kidding. It's just nobody's ever heard of it.
Well, so the Buck Club, it's kind of a make-believe golf club where this pro player, Zach Blair, has created this because he's actually going to use the money that he sells the merchandise for to build his own golf course, which is kind of a cool idea. He actually right there. Oh, that's one of his head covers. Okay. And so basically he's making all these products to make this money, and he holds these annual tournaments called the Ringer, and he holds them at all these Golden Age golf tracks. So he's very into golf course architecture in the Golden Age. So he just held the Ringer at Mid Pines last weekend.
Kidding.
Yeah. So I was following it all weekend, and kind of the course just looks absolutely incredible to play. I mean, if I go out that way, I think I'd just have to spend a week out there playing that and Tobacco Road and Aiken. And I mean, just spending a whole time just in that corner of the country.
Well, I'm moving back over there. So when you come, make sure y'all let me know. I can hook you up.
Me and Ashton will definitely be making that happen very soon. I haven't gone anywhere. So I haven't played golf outside of Washington, Oregon, California. Wow. I've played a few tracks in Nevada outside of Tahoe, but I've played close to 75% of the public courses in the 3 states on the West Coast. So I've played over 480 golf courses on the West Coast.
No kidding.
Yeah. Wow. So, but it's insane because the golf I've played is nowhere near what I've heard from you guys and from Ashton and from what I've seen on the East Coast. It's a completely different realm of golf. It's not even comparable to what we get. And that's why I'm excited for Mr. Moss to come out, and I'm going to have to come back down from Portland, and we're going to have to, and if you can come out, Mr. Banks, we'd love to get you out to, a couple of the courses out here and show you what Presidio is all about. Take you out to Monterey and, get out there. And there's it's a completely different world on the West Coast too.
Right.
So, but I mean, that's complete side note, but so that was your Mid Pines, you would say St. Augustine was your favorite golf course. Mr. Moss, what would be your favorite Donald Ross that you got to play?
I would say that Pine Needles is the best, most enjoyable Ross course that I played. Now, the Ponce was different. It was unique and quirky, and it was super windy. And so it was a different golf course every day. And there were some rounds. We still talk about that one round where Bill Bauer shot 70, and it would blow the hat off of your head all the way down the fairway, and he shot 2 under par that day. But Pine Needles, which of course has hosted the the Women's Open at least
A couple of times, yeah.
And it's going to again, I think, next couple of years.
Yeah, he's specifically talking. The reason he's staying Pine Needles, Ashton, is because look, I'm looking at the letter. He won the B group in 2004 at Pine Needles. Your dad. I know you're proud. He did. And when you beat Jason Embro on the last hole, you hit an 8-iron. You hit an 8-iron into 18. Did you not? The 18th hole, which was actually the 9th hole that day. And didn't you say, I did it?
I was always the favorite to win the B every year, and I never won. And it seems like I'm going to move you to the A as soon as you win the B, and I couldn't win the B, although I should have won the B.
Yeah.
But that 9th hole is the one that finishes right there by the
hot dog stand.
hot dog stand where Big Chris.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a 360-yard straightaway par 4. It's a nothing hole.
But when you get a little flippy and you hit it over there and there's a boundary marker, I'm trying to just,
OB on the right.
Right. And I just chunk it out there with the 3-wood, and I've got 141, and I just 2-finger and 8-iron, and the ball's in the air. I've got a 2-shot lead. And I said, oh, thank God it's over. I knew at that point I could 3-putt and I could still win. But seriously, I had to get the monkey off my back. And then I did it. And then I played 15 years in the A and never won a dime. So thanks.
Side note on this, we get through. And when we would get through, before we would leave, everybody would get together and I would hand out the Calcutta money. Here's something you'd find interesting. I'd hand out the Calcutta money, or my brother Nat would, on the side. It was never announced, right? I wouldn't say, Nat Banks owned John Moss in the B group. Here's $3,000. You hand out the Calcutta money on the side, because that wasn't, you had to win the Donald Ross Invitational to get your name on the letter, to get your name on the trophy.
Mm-hmm.
And even though you only won
like Augusta National calling it the second 9. I mean, that's total horseshit. I mean, that's like, it's not quite pure enough. We're not going to talk about the $3,000 that Eddie Kropp just won. No, we're going to keep that on the side.
We keep that up. But anyway,
right.
Excuse me, Moss. I was talking. But so Moss, how many did I say he went to? 25, 22 Rosses. Okay. He finally won the B, and I'm handing out the prize money. Congratulations, John Moss, B group winner. Gave him an envelope with $500 in it, and everybody claps for him. And he goes, guys, can I have your attention just for a second? I want to take a moment to thank Johnny and Nat for running this. What an unbelievable event this has been every year. And I just let's put our hands together and thank these guys for doing this every year. Nobody clapped. And David Asbury said, Moss, you've been to every one of these and you've never said one damn thing to either one of them about running this trip. And you finally win the B, and all of a sudden you're Mr. Nice Guy. You got to thank the banks. That was a.
And for 15 straight years, they'd hand the money out and they'd turn to me and go, Moss, you got anything to say? Anything you want to add? I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm okay.
Oh, that's the best.
How about it? We're at Aiken Golf Club, and 4th round, Sunday morning. It's me. This is the B group. Me, John Moss, Jeff Ware, who's a great player. And I won't say the 4th name in case this goes viral.
No, Chief, don't tell that story.
So we're on what kind of lead did you have? You must have had a 6-shot.
I have a 4-shot lead.
4-shot lead. First hole's a par 4, second hole's a par 5, third hole's a par 4, fourth hole's a par 3 uphill. The other guy's in second. It's uphill, probably 210 uphill. He hits it dead right in the woods. We never see it come out.
There's a house and a fence.
Yeah.
He's gone.
So he hits out. He says, I'll hit a provisional. Right off the tee, hits the trees, bunny hops right in front of the tee. So
you go
over there.
You said, there it is.
Yeah, on the second ball.
Yeah.
Okay. So we go up there. The player that I won't mention says, this is my first ball. Now, remember, we're playing for prestige, but quite a bit of money. He said, this is my first ball. And everybody's looking around and looking at me. And I said, unknown player, this might be your first ball. It could have hopped out, and we didn't see it hop out. But where's your second ball? Because we saw it come right here. And he said, this is my first ball. Now, the rules are clear. It's up to the player. It was blatant cheating. There wasn't anything we could do about it. I could have kicked him off the course, but I'm thinking, well, Moss has got by this time, he's got a 6 or 7 shot lead. I'm thinking it's not going to matter. And your dad melted like an Atlanta Braves reliever. I mean, it was, I don't know what you shot. I don't know if it was upper 80s.
I don't think it. Well,
you shot a million, and I didn't blame you though. It was an awkward moment. I just
would have thought when you're running the trip, you would have handled that better though.
Hey, look.
I don't disagree with that.
Better players have lost to Patrick Reed. It's okay.
Well, I would say
exactly right.
We when you play competitively, there's going to be situations, and how many times, Chief, have we talked in the bar? Everybody wants to talk about it in the bar afterwards, but nobody wants to say, I'm not sure that was your first ball. Nobody does it on the golf course.
Nobody does it. They talk about it in the bar.
That's right.
But I still to this day don't know if I handle that right, but it is what it is.
Hey,
and by the way, unfortunately, I didn't boot him because he was one of us.
Wait, Chief, it might be.
That's what's pathetic. That's what's pathetic. It really is.
It might be a good way to finish, which is, you mentioned to start the show, the worst things you can hear on a golf trip are the words, what are we doing, right?
Yeah.
I would argue that the worst thing you could hear on a golf trip is, did you hit my ball?
Oh, and Chris has done that to me multiple times.
I have.
Chief, I'm not sure it's a raw story, but you've got to close or at least finish with the meat.
Oh, this was a Ross. We're playing at what was the name of that place in Augusta? I can tell you. Hang on. We called it the Clump because it was in such bad shape, but it's an original Ross. It's in Forest Hills in downtown Augusta. And we actually played it. We played Aiken Golf Club and we played Forest Hills. And we're on the ninth hole, par 5, and the meet's a good player, Mel Mendenhall. Ashton, you know Mel.
He's listening. He's a +1 handicap. He's 64 years old and is really good.
He's really, really good now. Back then, I was as good as him. And it's me and the meet and Moss, and I don't know who the fourth was. Do you remember? I don't remember. No, you weren't in our group. You were just.
That was a different time.
Okay, you were watching. Anyway, so we tee off, and we get up there, and the meet goes to up. What did he goes to?
He goes to the farthest ball.
He goes to the farthest ball.
Of course.
Yeah, and I said I knew I'd killed it. I'd killed it off the tee, but he was longer than me, and he said, "No, that's me." I said, I don't think that's you." He goes, No, I think that's me. So he hits it. So then I know what he had done, but I go over to the other ball, knowing it's not my ball, and go through my routine. And right before I hit it, I look down and go, "This isn't my ball. It was the meat's ball." So the meat accuses me of maneuvering the situation that he would have hit the wrong ball. So now he's got to take a penalty. He gets it up by the green, he hits it on, and he makes a putt. He made a putt for a double, and he slings his putter
into that water
into a shed, and Moss goes, "Nice birdie meat." Nice birdie meat. It doesn't sound that funny right now, but when We were the last group. Everybody was just.
Chief, you got to tell them about the story when he got bagged.
Yeah. Let me end with this one, Ashton. Do y'all know what getting bagged means?
Yeah. Also, we're okay on time. We're fine on time.
All right.
You're getting bagged. Somebody undoes your strap on your bag, right?
And you pull off, and your thumbs fall down, and you break your thumb.
Yeah. And I have never bagged anyone in my life except Mel Mendenhall and Jason Imbro, who I've probably bagged 1,000 times. But occasionally
nobody believes that, but I've heard you say that before, so I'm going to go with it.
So anyway, we are at this was at a Hootie. This wasn't at a Ross, but it's a good story. It's the same, by the way, Chris. It's pretty much the same group that goes to the Ross and the Hootie. Pretty much,
okay.
The
Hootie, real quick, Chris, is it's Ryder Cup style, right, guys?
No, there's a Hootie Cup. There's also a Hootie.
Okay.
It's just an expensive handicap trip destination golf courses.
Yeah, so we're down at Kiowa, and
Timely.
yeah, it was timely. We played the Ocean course, but this was at a different course another day, and the meat flares it into another fairway, and we all hit. He flares it into another fairway. So he goes over there. We can't find his ball. And there's another group over there. And he goes, I know they got my ball. I know that. I said, well, we asked him and they said they didn't. He goes, I know they got my ball. So now he's got to go back to the tee, right? So he comes over, he jumps in the cart and he rides all the way back to the tee. Now, I know that he's gotten in the wrong cart. So he gets back to you could see him. He gets out of the cart and he's looking at the clubs. So now he got to ride all the way back up. He gets out of the cart. He gets in his cart, slams on the accelerator, and I bagged him.
That is the
Wait,
best.
there's more. Finish it, Chief.
So he goes back. He hits. It's a chewy hole. It's got a big creek that's running right up in front of the green. And he goes for the green and he hits it in the water. And he says, screw it. I'm out of here. And he quits, takes his bag off the cart, and he starts walking to the pro shop. And what did we start singing? Dun, dun, dun. Another one bites the dust. So the whole foursome singing that for a guy who we just ran out of a trip. And he's one of our best friends.
Oh, man. I don't think we've done any pranks on any of our trips yet. I don't think we knew each other enough to be able to do that yet. Yeah.
Have not yet. But Chris, on our last golf trip, didn't get a lot of sleep. Chris consumes a lot of a specific kind of substance that may or may not make you go into a different state often. And on the first hole, he just walks up and I hit my drive right down the middle. Chris drives up, hits my ball on the green on the first hole, and just turns around. His eyes are basically crossed. He's like, whoa, dude. He's like, I'm really tired. I'm really sorry. I'm like, it's the first hole. We're playing 36 holes. We just started a golf trip.
The day before, I was playing a yellow ball. That day, Ashton's playing a yellow ball. So I don't even put two and two together. I'm not even in a proper state. And I roll right up.
To be clear,
it was a yellow soccer ball.
No,
so I should have.
I'm playing a yellow Truvis with the black, like it looks like a soccer ball. He's playing a yellow TaylorMade. Just gets up there and whacks it. But actually, nothing is better than, I think, the first round we played this year. We had a 36-hole day.
Oh,
Chris,
yeah,
he does on par 3, just gets there. And when I say Chris hits the bong, like he actually feels like like the three of us would smoke would be way too high. Chris takes it, like smokes the entire thing in one. We get down there, and Chris, where's your ball? He goes, forgot to hit my tee shot.
I get in the car, bolt all the way, get up to Ashton's ball, and I was like, I don't have a ball in the fairway. I gotta go back and hit a ball real quick. Ran back. I actually hit better ball than all three of them. get into the fairway, birdied that hole. So, yeah, it worked out.
We've got any stories where somebody forgot to hit their drive?
You know what? It's happened to me twice playing with Ashton. So I think I need to lay off some stuff while I'm on the golf course.
And we became friends in October, so it's all new. Okay,
we've also
last
played
story. I know that's true. The last thing, Mr. Banks, I've heard that you got to tell. I don't know. I really want to hear your Jason Terranova like final round Hootie Cup thing, but I also want to hear Mr. Banks' perspective because let's just say that in the last few years, a lot of your golf stories, you're not very enthusiastic. This is the one time I've seen you be enthusiastic about golf in a while, and I think it's one, a great story, but two, I want Mr. Banks' perspective on that story too.
I'll try to make it quick, but
and also maybe a little context into the Hootie Cup, just so people know what that is.
You heard about the Ross, which is the spring back down and in event. And then there's the fall event, which is the Hootie. And then that's sort of
run by someone else, David Asbury.
Someone else. Yeah. But the Hootie Cup evolved as a Ryder Cup event, usually 10 on 10 or 12 on 12.
Yep.
Team uniforms, basically it's a $500 weekend, 4 rounds, and the loser has to pay for the winner's $500. So if you win, you don't pay anything, you lose $10,000.
Yep.
There's a draft party. There's different captains every year. We have a party. The captains go draft. They draft their teams. We play best ball, alternate shot, best ball, singles. And we've had some of our greatest, most fun events ever. And if you're ever looking for just something fun to do, I would recommend you have a Ryder Cup event because you don't have to put them all out.
Yep.
The camaraderie is spectacular.
It was my favorite thing. I liked it over the Ross. It was my favorite event.
I agree. And the Ross was good because it got you ready for the season and it was good to reconnect. But then the Hootie Cup in the fall was we did a Memorial Day for many, many years. Anyway.
We did in same golf course. It was the kind of the Augusta idea of like same golf course, right?
At Tuscaloosa at Lake Oconee, which if you've never played there, it's spectacular. The last 4 holes are basically in a loop. And so when you finish your match, you can go right back out and watch the other guys play.
Right.
And there's a brutal par 4, a par 3, a par 4, and then the hardest par 4 in Georgia, which is Anyway, 3 years ago, it's Brad Rush and the Rev captains. They're best friends. And I didn't know that in addition to the 500 a man, we have shirts. They had bet the shirts. They bought the shirts for the team. There was $2,800 worth of golf shirts in addition to $10,000 of bet, right? And long story short, we end up at singles, and I'm in the 10 spot against Jason Terranova, the same Jason Terranova who played at Barry. Now, he did have to give me a shot or two. He was a 0. But that was at a time when I couldn't putt it in from 18 inches. I would hit it on the green and wouldn't be able to finish the hole. They didn't give me a putt the whole time. I was putting them out I was 0-3 and I would have been 1-2 or 2-1 if I was able to putt from 3 feet, but I couldn't do it. And I end up in the 10 spot against Jason Terranova. And we end up on number 15 tee, dead square. No shots left. And we play 15, we both make bogey. And I get to 16 tee, and I said to my captain, I said, listen, is it over? Because sometimes the thing is over because you can't statistically win, and they don't tell you and let you finish your match. That's happened to me before, and I don't like it. I was like, listen, if we're finished, just tell me so I can go get a beer and be done here. And he said, Mossberg, you need to play hard. And then I look, and there's 18 other guys. No other matches are on the course. It's Terranova and me on 16 tee. I knock it on the green on 16. He hits a left ball. I win. I hit it in the right rough on 17, have to wedge it out. He drives it right up in front of the green and bones it over the green. And then he chips it to 2 inches. I make bogey. We go to 18 tee, dead square. No shots. And I should get a shot on 18. It's 470 yards, the dog legs left. It's got the biggest, it's ridiculous.
It's such a hard hole.
It's such a hard hole. And Terra Nova hits a drive that's 312 yards, but he hits it through the fairway because the dogleg's right. I hit it down the middle.
Dogleg left.
Say again? It dogleg's left. He hit it straight, which is through the fairway. And I've got 191 yards, and I hit a 4 hybrid. He lays up in front of the green. I hit a 4 hybrid to, I don't know what, Chief, 25 feet. And the beauty of it was downhill, so I couldn't yip it. I just had to get it on line. And I just sort of wiggle it up there, and thank God it goes to 9 inches, and he gives it to me. So he wedges it up there to 12 feet for the tie.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And he missed.
Yeah. And your dad, who had not won a point, and he claimed when he got put in the 10 spot that our captain was burying him, hoping it didn't get to that match.
That's what he was doing. Because
that's not at all what he was doing. But it comes down to that hole. Two of the greatest shots I've seen under pressure. And you guys know this, and especially if you do a Hootie Cup, there is nothing like buddy pressure on a team. I mean, it's unbelievable. And he hits right down the middle, 4 hybrid on the green. We're all praying he can get it down there in tap in range. Or no, give me.
Right. Knocking on the green. There's no guarantee that I'm going to make par. I mean, you guys couldn't believe how I couldn't.
But he makes par. He wins the hole, and we're carrying him off the green, screaming MVP. So he goes from no points, and still, Brad Rush calls him MVP.
Yeah, it's my nickname,
MVP. And I've got to tell you, it wore Terra Nova out. It shook him up that he had lost to a chop. I wouldn't. I moved to Atlanta in 1990, and I'll tell you, to meet these guys like your dad, Ashton, and there's 20 of us, 30 of us, and the great thing about guys is on most of these trips, there's occasionally been some tough situations and guys getting after it with each other. But you go to the bar and everybody, and you laugh about it and you tee it up the next day.
I would also just say that if you're trying to build a trip, you got to build a group, and I don't know what it is that's a common denominator that makes a golf group work. I'm going to give Johnny credit, and I mean this. The reason the Ross succeeded, and I think the other trips succeeded too, is Johnny was the glue that held it together. He was consistent. He's fun. As you can see, he's funny, and he just has a good sense about people. If you've got a leader that will run the trip, let them lead it, and then good guys will come to the trip, and eventually you'll boot the ones you don't want, and you'll get a core group of 4 or 8 or 10. And then before you know it, you've got a real solid group of guys. And if you play handicaps and everybody's handicaps legit, it doesn't make any difference. You can have a great time, but you got to play by the rules. You got to play fast, and you got to compete. Yep. That's what was good for us. If you don't want to compete, you shouldn't come on the trip, because if you're coming to play cards, you're at the wrong crowd.
But I think you said consistency is the key. The letter that I sent you, that letter was exactly the same for 30 years. And I'm going to grab something to show you before we go.
Yeah. No, and we joke because the reason I think the reason me and Chris, our relationship works so well is Chris is the engine, but I'm sort of the steering wheel, because for example, our golf trip in a couple of weeks, Chris booked the wrong week. He goes, "Oh, you booked your flight for the 6th." Or I said, "No, motherfucker, per the text last night, we're on the 13th.
Let me show you."
He's like, "Oh no, it needs to be a week earlier." We had dinner. I met his lovely wife. He booked a staycation in San Francisco the wrong month.
You're good.
I did it this weekend in Monterey. I literally just did it again. We show up at the hotel in Monterey on Saturday night at 7:00 at night, and they're like, "We got you for the 29th, not tonight."
Oh, no.
And we're like, "Well, do you have any openings?" They're like, "Absolutely not. Fully booked up. No vacancy." So I have to get online, scramble, and find myself. I need to stop looking on Expedia, because they keep every time I go back to another page, it keeps changing my dates. so I don't re-look at the date and then I book something and then it's the wrong date.
But what we're doing is he's like the raw material. Because Dad, you know me. Like, actually, you're kind of similar to Dad. Like, Dad's when I was a kid, I would say, "Hey, I need you to print this off at work." I put keys on top of it. I'd wake up. Dad's keys are gone. School papers right there. But I'm the opposite of that. So Chris is going to be the engine, and I'm the steering wheel. It's like, my man, it's June 7th, not June 13th.
You keep me on track. I send you all the itinerary. You double check it to make sure I didn't mess anything up.
No, but if you've got two guys, like if one of you's the detail guy and one of you's sort of the vision guy.
Yeah, that's us. I don't want to be the vision guy, but I like being the detail guy.
I think that's the great combination.
This is awesome.
Showing you this is what we call the Ross picture. It's Donald Ross, painted by my older brother Leon, who's a painter.
Wow.
And every single plaque with the winner, and then, by the way, not the B group, only the winner, the lowest score, it was always the A group. I always thought maybe a B grouper would win the B group could win the Ross.
That's awesome.
But there's 30 plaques on here. There was room for 30, and I shut it down. So
that's sick.
I thought about that when Moss said consistency.
Yeah,
that's one thing I'm looking into. So we're going to be starting. I got very inspired, and I went nuts for 3 or 4 nights just planning this. So, and this is what happens. I get really excited about something, and it just consumes me completely. So I got really, really excited for this after I heard about the Ross. So I decided we have fallen in love with some of the architects that are more of the modern golden age of architecture. Mm-hmm. So Gil Hance, Tom Doak, Corin Crenshaw, those are kind of our idols that with the, modern day golf courses. And so I decided I want to start a modern golden age invitational.
Perfect.
So our first tournament is going to be March next year at Soul Park in Rustic Canyon in California, in Southern California, in Thousand Oaks. So I'm hoping both of you guys can make it for the inaugural. That would be amazing if we could have 2 of the OGs from the Donald Ross come and actually join us for that.
That would be pretty cool.
Well, and Johnny, this is one of the things we love so much. Soul Park, $34 to walk. And it's like, I can tell you, it's not the best golf course I've ever played. It is my favorite golf course ever played, and it's $34.
Some of the most interesting greens you'll play. And then Rustic Canyon.
Rustic is an acid trip.
Oh, it literally, you're on drugs when you're playing this golf course because you can't see when the greens start and stop. The fairways and the greens look like they're the exact same thing. It's really, really challenging.
They're rough.
The greens are so big that there's sprinklers in the middle of the greens because it's just such a large piece of land on these greens. And if the wind is kicking out there, you get 20 to 25 mile an hour in your face. And there is a par 5, the 13th hole, that me and Ashton, I hit driver, 5-iron pitching wedge to get onto the green.
I feel like I hit Howard like 17 times. It wasn't going anywhere.
And it's just an amazing. Both of them are incredible courses, and the story between the 2 of them are great because Gil Hance was out there building Rustic Canyon, and all the people that he had out there who he calls cavemen building the golf course would go to Soul Park to play on their off days. And they all said how great the golf course was and the bones that it had, but it was just kind of beat up and rough around the edges. So Gil went out and played one day, loved the course so much, he went inside and decided to ask him if they needed help remodeling the golf course.
Wow. And I think he did it for free, right?
He did it for an insanely cheap budget because he loved it so much. And so he renovated all the greens, redid the bunkering, added some features throughout the fairways, with like rough mounds in the middle of the fairways and just some unique, interesting.
The coolest punch bowl I've ever played. Cool. It's like 40-yard punch bowl green.
And it's a downward sloping green with a punch bowl in the back. So the green is kind of a plateau, and then it falls into the punch bowl. It's one of the coolest greens you'll ever play, and one of my favorite holes I think I've ever played in my life. Yeah. I haven't been able to get to the East Coast. I can't wait to get to some of those square greens out there, and the volcanoes and stuff. But those are the kind of courses that we want to, really highlight in the Golden Age Invitational. And we're going to do the same thing and rotate through all of the Ben and Core, or the Crenshaw and Core courses, the Hans courses and the Dope courses, all public. So we're only going to do public courses, and there's 38 of them in existence in the United States right now.
Great idea. And I would love to, if you pull that off, if Moss will go, I'm in, because I'll be retired by then. I won't have anything to do.
It's already in process. I've already contacted the golf courses.
Well, so. I also just think as far as, municipal golf courses, they don't give you any priority, as well I understand if, you got to speak for your time, you got to pay your money. But if you've got a group that's coming and you're enthusiastic, I think to our earlier point, if you let them know that this is part of something bigger and you share it with them, they may give you priorities on tee times. They may give you a little, a better rate on a replay. But those golf courses where we played, they like the fact that we were there as part of something bigger. So I wouldn't be bashful at all about saying we're bringing two groups and we're having this special format and we're going to be wearing special hats or whatever. I think they like it. I think they appreciate the enthusiasm, and they may treat you a little better.
Well, and so that's one thing I have included in all of the outreach that I've done is kind of explain to them the whole, entity of what we're doing and how we're showcasing their architect and the person that made their golf course what it is. And I think that got a lot of the pros excited when I reached out to them.
Right. Like if you guys had a logo, like for your trip, call it the Golden Age Invitation, or whatever you want to call it, right? And you have a logo. And so when you wear your hat, you're promoting them, and they're going to really appreciate the fact that you appreciate their golf course. And not only that, you on your own are spending your own money to sort of promote your tournament and them. I just think that good players, nice guys collaborating with golf courses is great for everybody. And I would think that they would really welcome you. And it also means, though, be sure you pick the guys you bring on the trip carefully, because you get the guy who acts like an ass on your trip. And
if he's not in your group.
But it's hard to tell the guys who are being super nice to you that you had to boot the guy. They don't really care. They just want you to not be a dick when you're there.
And thus the invitational, why I'm going to be handpicking every single person going to this trip.
I did notice that, Chris. And if you noticed the Donald Ross Invitational, on there,
I copied a lot from you guys. Everything I learned from Ashton, I saw the letter, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna be copying almost everything you guys did for the Ross.
You'd be surprised how many guys I have asked me, do you mind if I plagiarize your letter? And I go, absolutely not. It's a good. In fact, I probably plagiarized some stuff to end up with where I ended up with the letter. I mean, so it's just a format, and people appreciate it.
Well, I don't know. I didn't look back at the letter. Usually, Johnny would go through everybody in the field and make some comment about their chances of winning.
This one didn't. Probably the first 20 letters, I would go through every person and barbecue them in writing. But, it just got to the point where how many times can you say John Moss can't tap it in? I mean, it just...
Hey, he's got the arm lock
material
now.
just got stale.
The arm lock's in the bag now. So I don't know.
I'm off the arm lock. I'm off the arm lock.
Already?
Actually, Moss and I were the first two in probably...
That's a different conversation. We'll have a whole conversation about people that can't putt. That'll be a different thing.
Well, I'm on that one. I've been a long putter for 25 years. I still putt long. As long as they let Bernard cheat, I'm putting with a long putter.
We always wonder why Johnny has a wet, sweat mark right there in his sternum every time. I'm like, Chief, I know you're not anchoring, but man, there sure is a wet spot there.
I anchor on the practice putt, but not on the real putt.
Oh gosh.
Anyway.
Well, to your point, though, especially the tour guys. I mean,
Chief, did you just say I anchor on the practice putt? That is
well, I do not anchor on the real putt. I don't. Hey, by the way, Ashton, I saw Mimi and Moss yesterday at a party and was enamored with your dad's new wardrobe. You know, he's always worn shirts that are like 20 years old. You know that.
I remember as a kid, I was like, oh, Dad, that's Dad's polo that he had in high school. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, he had on a nice looking golf shirt, nice looking slacks. He had on country, like blue velvet loafers, country club loafers.
Those were maybe you got those for you in the last 6 months, right? Those were
Guys, my time's running out here on this. I'm afraid I'm going to have to get out of here. We said an hour and we're running over.
Well, I really do.
I'm having trouble with the connection.
I noticed this golf shirt you have on, and I'm telling you, she has upped your game, and it looks good.
Thank you, Chief. I'll just leave that alone, and
all right, we'll just leave it at that.
Just leave it there.
And we'll just say, Mr. Banks, you've always been handsome. You know, right there. You know, never had to change.
That's Ashton. That's a lot of ass kissing right there.
No.
I mean, they did just give us a free hour and a half.
Johnny just got remarried. He's upped his game too. We've all sort of had to up our game as we've gotten older.
There's no doubt about that.
I got married and I had to up my game a little bit. I looked like I was a straight coach with joggers and sweatshirts at all times, and now my wife's finally got me in wearing polos and quarter zips, and
well
I definitely up my game.
Actually, what you guys should say while you can see him on this call is he told me he was playing golf. He was in a metal band with his hair to his butt. Picture that right now.
So I was captain of my high school golf team with hair that went past my middle of my back. Because I was in a death metal band in high school, but I was also the best golfer in my high school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very, very different.
I'll just tell you, anybody who's listening to the podcast, they always wonder, what do the guys look like? To me, Big Chris looks sort of like a West Coast Chris Pratt.
Yeah, good call.
I take that.
I mean, seriously. I mean, he sort of got that Chris Pratt way about him, right, Chief?
You're right on the number there.
I'll take that all day.
I bet you people have told you that.
I have. I've gotten Chris Pratt a few times.
Yeah. Well, Ashton looks just like his mother. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
I could see Ashton's keeping the lettuce on top.
There's no it's really long. I think in the next couple weeks I'm going to trim it, not all of it, but it's
it looks good. Don't cut it.
Thank you.
It's irritating when your kid has flow like that. I mean, are you kidding me?
Yeah, don't cut it. Looks good.
Fortunately, Dad stopped saying. There was a point we had to have a discussion where, like, I'd come home and every place we go, it's like we're at Chipotle. He's like, milkman's son. I'm like, stop telling people that. Like, you're just volunteering this and it's making everything feel uncomfortable. Like, I like being your son, and please stop telling the 18-year-old at Chipotle that I'm the milkman's son. No one's asking for this. No one's asking. No one needs to even know we're related. We're just having lunch.
Nope.
Don't to make this weird.
And the waitress does not need to know your name.
That's a good point.
Hey, listen, I got to run, but
thank you so much, Mr. Banks. This has been great.
Thanks for sending me those links. I've gone through and listened to some of your stuff, and it's awesome. You guys are so good together. You play off each other so well. You know, you got Big Chris, who's just friggin' out there getting it going, and then you got Ashton's like the 5th grade math teacher going, okay, let's get back on track here. So and you need that. You absolutely need that.
Mr. Banks, this track is absolutely pristine. Absolutely pure.
Incredible and pure are my words.
Incredible and pure.
Well, good luck to you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate you guys coming on. We'll see you guys soon.
We'll come on anytime. See you.
See ya.
All right, take it easy.
Bye.